opens on a massive interstellar summit, held on a floating station above a dead planet. Thousands of alien races attend. Humans are new, weak, and mostly ignored. The main character, Elias Carter, a human logistics officer, is only there to deliver data. He searches for an empty seat in the massive hall, feeling small and unwanted. Around him, alien nobles whisper that humans should not even be present. Suddenly, the room goes silent. The Queen of the Galactic Dominion, feared by all species, turns her head. She grabs Elias' arm in front of everyone and calmly says, "Sit right beside me." Shock spreads through the hall. Guards raise weapons, nobles stand in fear. Elias does not know why she chose him. He slowly sits, heart racing, knowing one wrong move could mean death. The Queen speaks warmly to Elias but coldly to everyone else. She asked him questions about Earth, its wars, survival and losses. Elias answers honestly, with no pride, only truth. Other races mock humans for being weak, short-lived and divided. The Queen silences them with a single look. She reveals a terrifying truth. An ancient machine race is waking up. Entire star systems have already gone dark. The Council is afraid, no one has a solution. Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story, thanks for watching, please like and subscribe. The Great Hall of the Celestial Accord was larger than any city Elias Carter had ever seen. It floated in open space, held together by ancient technology older than human history. The ceiling curved high above, made of transparent crystal. Through it, distant stars burned like silent eyes, watching everything that happened inside. Thousands of seats filled the chamber, arranged in wide circles around a central platform. Each section belonged to a different species. Some were tall and thin, others wide and heavy. Some glowed with soft light. Others moved with slow, insect-like motions. And then there were the humans. They were placed at the far edge of the hall, almost hidden. No special markings, no banners, just a small section of plain metal seats. Elias Carter stood at the entrance, holding a slim data case against his chest. He swallowed. He was not a soldier, he was not a diplomat, he was a logistics officer. A man whose job was to move supplies, numbers and reports from one place to another. He was not supposed to be important. The hall was already filling fast. Elias checked his assigned section, but a group of tall, blue-skinned delegates had taken over the human seats. They did not even look at him. He took a slow breath and began walking along the outer ring, searching for an empty chair. Every step felt heavy. As he passed the other species, conversation slowed. Some stopped completely. He felt eyes on him, cold, curious and sharp. "Why is a human here?" someone whispered in a clicking language. "Do they not know this is a closed summit?" another voice hissed. Elias kept his head down. Humans were new to the galactic stage. Barely a century past first contact, still recovering from their own wars, still repairing Earth's broken sky. They were tolerated, nothing more. Elias finally spotted an empty seat near the inner ring. Closer than he was allowed, but still unmarked. He stepped toward it, careful not to draw attention. That was when the entire hall fell silent. Not slowly, not naturally. Instantly. The hum of voices died like a switch had been flipped. Even the air felt frozen. Elias stopped walking. His heart began to pound. He felt it before he saw it. A presence. Slowly, he turned his head toward the central platform. The Queen had risen. She was taller than most species, her form wrapped in flowing dark fabric that seemed to drink in the light. Her crown was not made of gold or gems, but living crystal that shifted with soft inner fire. Her eyes locked onto Elias. They were ancient eyes, calm, heavy, eyes that had watched civilizations rise and burn. Every guard in the hall stiffened, weapons hummed to life. Elias could not breathe. The Queen stepped down from her platform. Each step echoed through the chamber. She walked past generals, past rulers, past beings who commanded fleets that could crack planets. She walked straight toward him. Elias' hands trembled. He thought of Earth, of blue skies and old oceans, of how small he was standing here. She stopped in front of him. For a long moment, she only looked at him. Then, without warning, she reached out and grasped his arm. Gasps rippled through the hall. Her grip was firm, warm, and real. She leaned closer and spoke in clear, perfect standard. "Sit right beside me." The words fell like thunder. Elias froze. He looked down at her hand on his sleeve, then back into her eyes. He did not understand. He could not understand. Slowly, carefully, he nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty." She released his arm and turned back toward the platform. Elias followed, legs shaking. Every step felt unreal. They reached the throne area. The Queen sat down and gestured to the empty seat at her right hand. The most powerful position in the hall. Elias sat. The chamber erupted. Voices shouted in dozens of languages, some angry, some fearful, some confused. "This is an insult. A human does not belong there. Has the Queen lost her reason?" The Queen raised one finger. Silence returned at once. She did not look angry, she looked tired. "This summit will proceed," she said calmly, "and the human will remain." No one dared argue. Elias sat perfectly still, his heart hammered so loud he was sure others could hear it. The Queen turned slightly toward him. "Elias Carter," she said softly. His breath caught. "Yes, Your Majesty." "You carry data." "Yes." "You were not sent to speak." "No." She nodded once. "Good." The summit began. Representatives stood one by one, speaking of borders, trade routes, and minor wars. Elias barely heard them. His mind raced. Why him? Why now? Then the topic shifted. A tall, armored being stepped forward. Its voice was metallic and cold. "Entire systems have gone dark," it said. "No signals, no debris, just silence." Murmurs spread. Another delegate rose. "We believe the ancient machines are active again." Fear moved through the hall like a waves. Elias felt his stomach drop. The machines were legends, destroyers from before recorded history, thought to be gone forever. The Queen listened without reaction. Finally, she stood. "All of you speak of fear," she said, "but none of you speak of survival." She turned her head toward Elias. "Human," she said, loud enough for all to hear, "tell us how your world survived extinction." The hall went still. Elias swallowed hard. He stood slowly. "We didn't survive cleanly," he said. "Earth burned, cities fell, billions died." Some delegates sneered. "But we kept going," Elias continued, "not because we were strong, but because we had no other choice." He looked around the hall. "We fought each other, we fought nature, we fought hunger and fear, and when everything was gone, we still stood up." The Queen nodded. Several delegates laughed. "Primitive thinking," one said. "Emotion is not strategy." The Queen's eyes hardened. "You mistake emotion for weakness," she said. "That is why you will fail." She faced the hall. "The machines are coming," she said, "and they will not be stopped by perfect logic." She placed one hand on the armrest beside Elias. "Humanity will lead the defense." The chamber exploded. Outrage, shock, open disbelief. Elias felt the world tilt. He turned toward her, whispering, "Your Majesty, we are not ready." She leaned close, her voice low. "You are the only ones who are." She straightened. "This session is adjourned," the Queen declared. As guards moved and delegates shouted, Elias sat frozen. The Queen looked down at him one last time. "Prepare your people," she said quietly. "The galaxy will soon learn why I chose you." And with that she left. Elias remained seated, staring into the stars above. He had come looking for an empty chair. Instead, he had been placed at the center of the coming war. The lights of the celestial accord dimmed as the delegates left the great hall. Elias Carter remained seated for a long moment after everyone else was gone. The chair beside the Queen's throne felt far heavier now than it had before, not because of its material, but because of what it meant. Around him, guards moved with silent precision. Their armor reflected the starlight above, cold and sharp. None of them spoke to him, none of them needed to. He was no longer invisible. At last, Elias stood. His legs felt weak, but he forced himself to walk forward. Each step echoed in the empty hall. The voices, the anger, the shock from moments before still rang in his ears. Humanity will lead the defense. The words felt unreal. A pair of royal guards approached him. They were tall, their faces hidden behind smooth masks. The Queen requests your presence, one of them said. Elias nodded. Yes. They led him through long corridors that curved gently, as if the station itself were alive. The walls glowed with soft blue light. Symbols moved across their surface, too old for him to recognize. They entered a quiet chamber overlooking open space. The Queen stood alone near a wide window, her hands folded behind her back. Stars drifted slowly beyond the glass. She did not turn when Elias entered. You are afraid, she said calmly. Yes, Elias replied honestly. She nodded, you should be. She turned to face him. Up close she seemed less like a ruler and more like something ancient and tired. Her eyes held sorrow, not pride. You believe I chose humanity by chance, she said. I don't understand why you chose us at all, Elias said. We are not strong, we are not united. Half my world still argues over old wounds. The Queen walked closer. Exactly, she said. She gestured and the air shimmered. Images appeared between them. Star systems burned, worlds shattered, fleets reduced to drifting metal. This has happened before, she said, many times. Elias watched silently. My people were once like yours, she continued. Young, hopeful, certain that technology and reason would save us. The image changed. A great war, enemies closing in. When defeat became certain, the Queen said softly, we surrendered. The image froze. We survived, she said, but we never lived again. The images vanished. The ancient machines do not fear strength, she said. They calculate it, they predict it, they erase it. She looked directly at Elias. They fear something else. What? Elias asked. Defiance, she answered, even when it makes no sense. Elias thought of Earth, of cities that kept fighting after power grids failed, of soldiers who held lines they could not win, of civilians who rebuilt with bare hands. We are stubborn, he said quietly. Yes, the Queen said, and that terrifies them. A sharp sound broke the moment. An alarm. The room lights shifted to red. Assassins, a guard's voice echoed through the chamber. Before Elias could react, the Queen moved. The window sealed, hidden panels opened, guards rushed in. The door burst inward. A figure lunged forward, fast and desperate. A shot rang out. The attacker fell. Silence returned. The Queen did not flinch. She looked down at the fallen body. They fear change, she said, and you are change. She turned back to Elias. This is why you must live. The days that followed passed like a storm. Messages spread across the galaxy. Some worlds refused to answer, others sent threats. A few sent quiet offers of support. Earth responded slowly. When Elias finally stood before the Human Council through a hololink, he saw disbelief on every face. You want us to lead a galactic war? One general asked. No, Elias said, the Queen does. Silence followed. She believes we think differently, Elias continued, that we fight differently. A pause. Then one voice spoke. When do we start? Human fleets were small, old, often patched together with parts from different eras. But they moved fast. Civilian ships were refitted, cargo vessels were armed, volunteers came forward without orders. Not because they were told to. Because they remembered. Elias travelled with the first task force. He watched pilots joke before battle. He watched engineers work until they collapsed from exhaustion. He saw fear. But he also saw something else. Refusal. The first contact with the machines came at the edge of a dead system. Silent shapes emerged from the dark, perfect, cold. The machines attacked with precise movements, clean, efficient. Human ships responded with chaos. Decoy flares, sudden retreats, wild charges that made no sense. A freighter rammed a machine cruiser, detonating its core. The explosion tore through the machine formation. The machines hesitated. Just for a moment. It was enough. The humans pushed forward. The first victory was small, but it spread like fire. Other species watched. Then they followed. The Queen observed from her throne as reports arrived. Losses were heavy, but the machines were slowing. They are adapting, a general warned. So will we, Elia said. The final battle came sooner than expected. A massive machine fleet moved toward the galactic core. Every available ship gathered. The Queen stood among them, no longer distant. Elia stood beside her once more. Do you regret choosing us? He asked. She shook her head. You reminded the galaxy how to stand, she said. The battle was brutal. Ships burned, space filled with wreckage. But the machines broke. For the first time in millions of years, they retreated. Silence followed. The galaxy held its breath. Then cheers erupted across every channel. The war was not over. But it was no longer hopeless. In the Great Hall once more, the Queen addressed the galaxy. Humanity was not chosen because it is powerful, she said. She looked at Elias. It was chosen because it refuses to fall. Elias felt the weight lift from his chest. As he gazed at the stars, he understood something at last. Humans were not heroes. They were survivors. And sometimes that was enough to save everything.